first off, want to welcome everybody. Can everybody hear me? Now, when the important people talk, they'll have a microphone, but I'm just asking the questions, so I'm planning on staying over here out of camera sight as much as possible because that's good for the cameras and for everybody else too. Welcome to the Franklin Springs Candidates Forum. My name is Shane Scoggins. I'm the publisher of the Franklin County Citizen Leader, and we're sponsoring the forum tonight. I'll be moderating the forum such as I can. This is not my forte. I've never done this before, so please give me a little bit of grace. Actually, give me a lot of grace. It would help a lot. The purpose of this forum is to allow the candidates for mayor and city council to provide their platforms to the citizens of Franklin Springs and to have them answer questions about issues facing the city. Helping me tonight will be Charlie Evanson. Raise your hand, Charlie. There we go. Charlie is our staff writer. He will be our timekeeper tonight, and I'll have more to talk about him in just a second. Here's how the forum is going to work. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and then we're going to ask questions that were submitted by the public, and they'll get 1 minute each to answer those questions, and then when I get done with the questions, they'll have 2 minutes for a closing statement. About the questions, we asked folks to submit questions to us. We had to do it ahead of time because there's only just me and Charlie tonight, and trying to manage a bunch of questions submitted during the forum would have been a little bit more than we could handle. We had a lot of questions submitted. They all came in late, so we've been working all day getting them together. We tried to consolidate some, similar questions to kind of consolidate them together so we can get as many asked as we can. We are trying to get out of here in about an hour and a half or so we're not going to get to all of them, but we encourage you, if your question is not answered and you submit one, or if you've got questions of your own, grab one of these folks after the forum, track them down in town, grab a hold of them when they're trying to buy milk at the food line, whatever you need to do, but just get your questions answered, okay? Let's see, and with that, I think we're about ready to go. Yep, we're ready to go. All right, so the first one tonight, we have City Council. We have 4 candidates running for 2 seats on the City Council. We have incumbent Tom Wilson, incumbent Josh Walden, Mr. Brian Matheson, and Joanna Matheson, who's not here tonight. She is not feeling well, so she could not make it. So we're going to go start our opening statements now, and we did a random draw. I did a random draw at the office for opening statements, and then what we'll do is when we start asking questions, we'll rotate who goes first. So Tom, you are the lucky number 1, so you get to go first. And just before you, Charlie has placards to let you know how time is ticking down, so that way you won't be caught flat-footed. And he's also got a timer that will ring at the end of the 3 minutes.
Okay.
So whenever you get ready.
All right. Opening statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, hello, everybody. It's great to see all of you, a lot of familiar faces, and a lot of people that I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet. But anyway, it's good that you would come out tonight to support our city election, and thank you for your interest in that. And thanks also to all of you who have voted for me in the past and allowed me to serve on the city council for, this is my 5th term. I'm completing my 5th term, 20 years, and it's been a great privilege for me to work for you in this capacity. I've always tried to put service first. My daddy was a preacher, and he pastored a good number of small churches in this area. And I gave my heart and life to the Lord Jesus Christ as a very early age. And I've always strived to work for Him and to serve people, to put people's interests first. That's always been my aim. During my life, the Lord has blessed me with a beautiful wife and 2 children. Kathy and I have been married now for 55 plus years and have 2 children, Pat and Mary. They each have 2 children, so we've got 4 grandchildren. I think I qualify as a lifelong resident of Franklin Springs, okay? With the exception of 8 of my 78 years, I have lived in Franklin Springs. First 2 years of my life, I lived in Royston, back before my daddy bought property in Franklin Springs. Anyway, I lived in Franklin Springs all my life. I hope you'll accept that. And I know a lot of you are not, are new residents, relatively new. But I went to Franklin County schools, graduated from Franklin County High School in the first graduating class of 1965. Also served 2 years in the Army, including 2 years in Vietnam, or not 2 years, but a year in Vietnam as a medic. Graduate of Emmanuel College, Georgia College, and BA in Psychology, and University of Georgia, an MED in Rehabilitation Counseling. Okay, I just received, how much is that, Charlie? Did you give me 10, did you give me 3 minutes? Okay, sorry, I'm deviating too far. But during this term, we've strived as a council and mayor to keep taxes.
That's time.
Keep taxes low. Did I spend 3 minutes?
Yes, sir. Goes by fast.
I did this. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you'll have some more in a little bit. You'll have some more in a little bit. You'll have about 2 more minutes at the end.
Oh, 2 more?
At the end.
Oh, the end. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Am I done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can sit down.
All right, Josh, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Walden, and I've had the honor of serving as your city councilman the last 4 years. I remember when I moved to Franklin Springs, many of the neighbors showed up with welcoming hands, bringing food, offering to help move furniture, and that didn't just stop the first week. That went on for several months. I remember thinking the signs out here on the wall is just not a slogan. This is a refreshing place to live, and that's still very true today. I wanted to run for city council and serve as your councilman because I think it's important for somebody of my age to have views in the city, to where the city's going. As a small-time businessman, as a small family, first-time home buyer, to where if I make the long-term investment in Franklin Springs will make the investment back with us. I was very fortunate in becoming elected. Some of the accomplishments that we've had over my tenure here is lowering your taxes. We understand that everything's high right now, so anything we can do to help our residents, we're going to do. We've updated our law enforcement by adding more police force. I think we all agree that our life, our families, our city, and our property are worth keeping safe at all times. We've added radios, we've added trucks, multiple trainings for our fire department in case that dreaded 911 call has to be made. You know that the first responders are going to be there to not only be well educated but have all the proper equipment to get the job done. If re-elected, there's a few things that I'd like to see come to Franklin Springs. Georgia's growing, Franklin County's growing, and I believe that controlled growth would benefit Franklin Springs if managed properly in the areas we have set aside for generations to come. Not only that, I want Franklin Springs to remain the same, to be the helping, loving neighbor, for our kids to still feel safe to stand at the stop sign and wait on the school bus to come by, for us to go outside and listen to the ball game playing at Emmanuel College. This is a Christian-based community, first and foremost. And I believe that any growth that is to come in any industry will hold those same core values that we do. I humbly ask for your support, your voting support in November. For me and all my family, I want to say God bless and thank you.
Brian, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Franklin County Citizen for putting on today's event. Life has a funny way of calling us to something bigger than ourselves, and that's why I stand before you today as a candidate for Franklin Springs City Council. I never would have dreamed even a year ago that Joanne and I will be simultaneously be stepping into politics and running for 2 city council seats. I love my God, my wife, our children, and my hometown in that order. When representatives from that hometown were rude and disrespectful to my wife, a tax-paying concerned citizen of this city, I knew that I would step up and ensure that. Our citizens were not treated with respect. Our citizens were treated with respect. That questions were answered, and if those questions couldn't be answered, a response explaining that would be given with grace and kindness. I don't profess to be a politician, though I have really enjoyed meeting so many of you. I'm just a hardworking man like all of you. I go to work, I take care of my family, and I trust my local government. But when I have questions about things I hear and I expect my leaders to address those concerns, if elected, I will do just that. I have worked 27 years in telecommunications, serving customers and working alongside utility companies. I'm proud to serve on the 12th Man Ministry at Franklin County High School, and I'm involved in Fellowship for Christian Athletes. I've also enjoyed coaching for our recreation department. As I said before, I'm not a politician, but I have common sense and respect, and I bring those to every decision I make if elected.
Thank y'all very much. Now, before we start on the questions, I will let y'all know, I tried really hard to not ask the city council the same questions that we're going to ask the mayoral candidates so that we get more questions in. So, just so if, don't get upset if your city council has not asked the question that you wanted. Anyway, so we're going to start off with question 1. Brian, you'll go first since you were last the first time with opening statements. The question is, what is your motivation for running for office and what can you bring to the city? You stand up there.
My motivation for running for office is, like I said, when there's something going on that all the citizens are concerned about, we expect answers. We don't expect people to sit up here silent. And I feel like if you've got a question and you ask me, I'm going to give you my honest answer. And I plan to bring integrity and honesty to this position.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tom? The question again is, what is your motivation for running for office and what can you bring to the city?
My motivation, I think I stated pretty well. I'm really oriented to a life of service. I've enjoyed serving the city, and there are many things that we have talked about as a city that I would like to see us move toward and accomplish in the years to come. So I'll say more about that in my closing statement, but there are many things that we really need to be working toward. But I also want to continue to bring forth accountability and transparency in City Council.
Okay. All right, Josh? You know the question, you need to read to me?
Please.
Okay. What is your motivation for running for office and what can you bring to the city?
My motivation for running for city council is I want to keep the city safe. I want to keep my family here. I want to bring my experiences as a businessman, as a father, and as a public servant to the table to where I understand that there's questions that we can't always answer. But transparency goes both ways. We are, as a council, under certain rules that if elected, you understand. So my motivation is to keep Franklin Springs how it is. Thank you.
Josh, you get to go first this time. I'm sorry, I should have just told you to stay up there. That's fine. The question is, what's the most important local issue to you, and what will you do to address the issue?
Probably the most important local issue to me is I travel every day 45 minutes to work. I believe that jobs brought to Franklin County and Franklin Springs is crucial. I believe that the industry that we could bring here could have jobs from educated in the technical field to a bachelor's degree to somebody who wasn't able to graduate high school. I believe jobs keeping in Franklin Springs is something that I'm very passionate about and bringing more to.
What's the most important local issue to you, and what will you do to address the issue?
Right now, it's the water treatment plant and what we thought was going to be a rendering plant at one point. I really believe we haven't got all the answers we need for what they want to bring. I myself drive an hour and 10 minutes to work, but I just don't believe in this city we need a big, giant industrial plant. And I think we just need to look at what we can bring in here that fits in our city.
Tom? What's the most important local issue to you, and what will you do to address the issue?
Well, I think our most important local issue is to make sure that our city infrastructure stays up to date, and that's why I am totally in support of our residential wastewater treatment facility. It's extremely important that we continue to work with our engineers and the others that are working on grants. We need to complete this in the worst possible way. Our present facility is extremely outdated, and the quality of our residential wastewater will actually be improved so much by this new plant. It will be just night and day. So I think that is our most important issue.
Okay, thank you. Tom? All right. Our next question, Tom, you're going to go first this time. Sorry. There's a pattern here. I'm sorry. The question is, are you in favor of sales of alcohol in Franklin Springs, and do you support more alcohol licenses in the city?
What was the first part of that?
And are you in favor of alcohol sales in Franklin Springs, and do you support more alcohol licenses?
Okay. Well, yes, I am in favor of the sales of a legal product in Franklin Springs. We've been through this before. We had an ordinance established a good number of years ago, and we have a number of vendors there. That I've always supported that, because that's just where I stand on the issue. I think we should sell any legal product like that in Franklin Springs.
Okay. All right. Josh? Are you in favor of alcohol sales in Franklin Springs, and do you support more alcohol licenses in the city?
I am also in favor of illegal alcohol sales in Franklin Springs. I believe that it produces more revenue for the city, and if maintained under the ordinances that our law enforcement, police force, that we can manage everything to the fullest extent. Anything like Mr. Wilson said that's legal, I'm in favor for being sold. Thank you.
Ron?
As far as alcohol sales, I believe we have plenty of places to get it from. I feel like we should look at this case by case and have a meeting and have our citizens decide if they feel like if we need more places to sell alcohol.
Okay. Just stay up there, Ron. All right. The next question is, Franklin Springs owns a 145.25 acre plot of land. If elected, what will you propose that the city do with the property?
That's a good one. I personally like looking at that piece of land undeveloped, but that's something that the mayor and all the city councilmen would have to look into and see what our citizens want to do with that piece of property. I just don't feel like we need a huge industrial company on that piece of property.
Okay. Tom? Go ahead, Josh. I'm not sure what order we're in anymore, but it's okay.
I believe that that property is open for anything that the outside services may fit for it to be there. We are very transparent in any industry or company that comes to Franklin Springs. We hold meetings, we send out emails to other residences, and we're very transparent in that. What I would propose is that we do consider an industry, some type of industry that's going to benefit Franklin Springs. We are the chicken capital of the world. So I believe that any type of industry that's going to benefit us is going to just produce more revenue for Franklin Springs. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that we need to continue to market this property for industrial use, industrial and business use. We need an industrial base in both in the city and in the county too, because industries pay the way for our schools and so many services that we have to provide in the county, services such as water and sewer. But I strongly believe that we continue to that we market this both to businesses and industries for that purpose.
All right. Tom, I'm sorry, there's a few. All right. Given the city's current financial success, what will you do to make the city better?
Given the financial system. Okay. Well, we've made a lot of progress. We've rolled back taxes almost every year. We roll them back. There are many things that we can do going forward. I want to work with the legislature to create the ability for us to, eliminate property taxes within the city on seniors, people 65 and above. We need to work with the legislature to get that base established first, but I think that's one thing we could do. We do have a strong financial posture, as the auditors have told us every year. So I feel like we can do that, but we could also do things like plan for recreational uses of our properties and also building sidewalks, so and biking trails. So that's something I think we could do.
I'd have to agree with Tom. That's similar to my idea what will go on. I don't have any idea because I'm not in there to see what how everything works, but my goal is to learn and do my best I can if you do elect me. Thank you.
Repeat the question.
Given the city's current financial success, what will you do to make the city better?
The current financial success is based on the current leadership we have now, so I believe we need to thank them for that. We have a robust budget, and the reason we do is because the people do their due diligence in making sure anything purchased is within the reason of the taxpaying citizens at heart and mind first. So I would leave it up to the citizens. Come to a council meeting. What would you like to see brought? So I'm also very transparent in this, and I believe that savings is always better than debt. Thank you.
All right, this is y'all's favorite question. It's the last one. So Josh, you'll be first. Sorry. What leadership skills do you have, and what experiences have influenced your development of those skills?
Well, I manage a machine shop in Cornelia, Georgia. I have had numerous leadership roles of managing anywhere from 7-man teams to 46. I consider myself a leader. I consider myself a family man and a businessman. Serving on the city council has been an honor. And the thing about leadership is you have to have guidance to become a leadership. And I believe we are under some of the best leadership we've ever had. So me, it's a great benefit to work alongside my candidates to learn and grow as a man. And thank you.
Question.
What leadership skills do you have, and what experiences have influenced your development of those skills?
Oh, okay. In terms of leadership skills in the past, I have served as president of national associations. In my career, I worked 36 years for the state of Georgia as a rehabilitation counselor, then a trainer, then a manager of the Athens office. And also I was appointed to a state board that oversees the Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, and presently serve as chairman of that. Those are the leadership skills I bring.
Okay.
In working with the phone company, I've been over majority of the crews I've worked in, one of the top splicers, training a lot of the guys I work with. Being with the 12th Man, I try to help out with young adults to lead them in the right direction. With youth sports, I try to guide some of these children that don't necessarily have a father in their home. I try to help out with a lot of that. That's about it.
Well, just stay up there. It's time for closing statements. So you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, thank you all for your time tonight. I've enjoyed listening to everyone and participating in today's event. I have a lot to learn, but I'm sure everyone before me has held one of these seats, who has held one of these seats is in the same place before taking office. I vow to do my best and lead with prayer and conviction. I humbly ask for your vote November 4th. May God bless each of you, and may God bless Franklin Springs.
Josh, go ahead, Tom, if you want to. Now, 2 minutes.
Okay. If you would see fit to vote for me, and I would ask for your vote, I pledge to work for effective and efficient services for our city. I'd like to improve and build on our water and sewer infrastructure. I would seek and support the Franklin County initiative to seek other sources of water within the county. I would support and complete the planned wastewater treatment facility. I pledge to keep the tax burden as low as possible, work to eliminate city taxes for senior citizens and reduce taxes for everyone else. I will work on grants to support building a sidewalk to Dixie Dale and walking and biking trails throughout the city. And I'd like to work towards a possible city park at some point in the future. But I also pledge to continue to be open and transparent about everything that we can. That's my pledge to you. The City Council has developed a very strong working relationship with our mayor, and we're all excited to get your positive vote and move into the future. Thank you.
and Josh.
Thank you all for coming. I do want to apologize, sitting up here looking over the crowd. There's a lot of you that I recognize and there's some of you I don't. So I do want to humbly say that I do need to get out in the public more and introduce myself. I was raised to where a handshake and your word is all you had to stand on. So this is me standing here today, speaking on everything I have, saying that I'll do the best job that I have with the leadership that's in the positions we're in to keep every member of Franklin Springs at heart first. It's been an honor, and I've learned a lot. There's still a lot to learn, but with your voting support, I think we can get it done. I sure do. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
All right, we'll get the mayoral candidates up here. All right, we'll get on to the mayor's race now. Running for mayor, we've got incumbent Lee Moore and Josh Griffith and Bruce Scranton. And I did the blind draw that came up in alphabetical order. So, you know, I need to go buy a lottery ticket or something, right? So, Josh, you get to go first. You got 3 minutes for an opening statement.
I'm Josh Griffith. I'm running for mayor of Franklin Springs, and I'm here running because I'm concerned about the future and the quality of life here in Franklin Springs, as many of you are here tonight. As you all know, a rendering plant has been the major topic of conversation here in our town. I have firsthand experience with a rendering plant near the fire department where I work, and it's not very pretty at all. I promise you, it's something we do not want here in our beautiful bedroom community. It will turn it into a bathroom community. We do not want that, I promise you. So the mayor and the city council keeps continuing saying that there's no rendering plant coming, there's no rendering plant coming, but they're not elaborating. I believe them that there's no rendering plant coming, but I believe that there could very well be one coming if they all get reelected. If any of them get reelected, I really believe one could be coming. The reason I believe that, there's a GPB article, respectfully, I have had this conversation with our mayor, so he knows how I feel about it. A GPB article came out after he started saying there's no rendering plant coming. Let me read some excerpts from this GPB article by Mayor Lee Moore. The new wastewater treatment plant is still in the works, and poultry waste could still one day end up at the facility, says Franklin Springs Mayor Lee Moore. When I read that, that shocked me. And I knew when I read that, it was a hill he was willing to die on. We were having a conversation, and I called him on that. He said, well, Josh, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but we need a rendering plant. And we have county commissioners that agree that we need a rendering plant. That's his exact words. So I'm sure he would be willing to stand by those words, but with more than there's no rendering plant coming. We're asking for more. Elaborate on that, please. It also says, next paragraph, Moore has doubled down on his intention to entice another poultry company. So this is seriously concerning, but I wanted to lay it out there for the record tonight that I am here to make a vow to you. I've made 3 vows. This is the 3rd vow I've made in my life. I'm making a vow to you that I will work with all that I am to keep poultry rendering and dirty industry out of Franklin Springs for as long as I'm in office and serving this city. I promise you that. That is a vow, and I take that very seriously. That's why I'm here doing this tonight, sticking my neck out there. So that's not the only thing I'm promising. I do have experience that will lend well to our very obvious water problems that we have. Okay? So in the fire service, water is what I do. I'm an engineer. I pump the water. I send the water. I know it well. I understand friction loss, head pressure, coefficients. I understand this stuff very, 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 very well. I've worked in the fire service for over 20 years. I've got very specific ideas on how we can improve on that. So let's discuss some more issues I would like to charge tonight. Thank you very much.
Well, I hate to admit this, but I finally have decided to bite the bullet and get glasses so I can see when I'm reading. So I have joined, I'm not 50 yet, but I'm getting there, and unfortunately, I have to have glasses to read now. But my name is Lee Moore. I'm a lifelong resident of Franklin Springs, born and raised in Franklin Springs. And, you know, just sitting here kind of changed a little bit of what I was going to say, because I understand now what President Trump went through for all those years here in Russia, because I've been hearing rendering for all too long. Let me be clear, no rendering plan is coming to Franklin Springs. Now let me talk to you a little bit about some great things that we've done in the last 16 years in Franklin Springs. First of all, we have the greatest employees in the city that we've ever had. We have the greatest employees, in my opinion, and the council's opinion, in the world. But with those great employees, we give them great pay, great benefits, insurance. And we are very thankful for the team we've put together, because it is a team. We have put together a great team. And some of you have served before, like Joe, know what it takes to put a good team together. We have put together a great group of first responders. In my opinion, we have the best first responders and the best equipment in Franklin County. And we continue to update equipment to keep not only our first responders safe, but you, our citizens, safe. I want to say one thing that's not been talked about, and it's been probably a year or two, but we're excited about a pumper truck. Well, actually, an engine truck, a brand new engine truck that we ordered about a year and a half ago for our fire department is coming. We're very excited about that. That's where your taxpayer dollars are going. This leadership has continued to upgrade infrastructure, which is your water, sewer, natural gas, streets, and we are currently building, just like Josh and Tom said, a wastewater treatment plant that will take in municipal wastewater. If an industry comes, it has to build its own wastewater treatment plant and make it wastewater where it's municipal wastewater before it comes into any industry, any city, any municipality. We're also excited about Royce's natural gas expansion that's coming through the city. And yes, we've purchased about 270 acres of property for growth, but controlled growth. Whether it is in industrial growth or whether it's in commercial growth. That's going to be to the decision of the council, the development authority, and the leadership. We are very excited about the city events that we have established, tree lighting events, fireworks, car shows, and concerts. And we have done all these accomplishments by cutting your taxes 5 times. We are very, very serious about your taxpayer dollar, and we feel like we're employees of you. We work for you. I thank you for this evening. I thank you for this time, and God bless.
Go ahead, Mr. Grant.
Tonight, I ask you to think about what you want Franklin Springs to be like in 10 years. I want to thank the Franklin County Citizen for hosting this forum and giving you an opportunity to hear the different views and to see just how important your vote is this year. I'm Bruce Scranton. Throughout my life, I've been answering the call to serve. I served 6 years in the Army Reserve, and after that, as a civilian, I spent 20 years in engineering, managing, and delivering complex systems to support the military and our government. I've built strong teams at places like GE Aerospace, Lockheed, and Delta. I've also served at Emmanuel, investing in the next generation. Leadership experience matters. It's why I believe I'm the most qualified candidate in this race. The incumbent has failed to put the citizens first. The third candidate lacks this level of leadership experience. I've got a proven track record of leading under pressure, solving problems, delivering results. For years, I've engaged as a citizen of the Franklin Springs at the council meetings. When I first heard rumors about a rendering plant and a massive wastewater treatment plant, I pushed back against those that were saying such things. I'd been in the meetings. There was no mention about these things. But then documents with the mayor's name and Pilgrim's Pride on them appeared, and I had to look into it. I asked questions. 2.5 months later, after several emails, texts, and phone calls, I gave up. Answers were not provided. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't want to say. But I got no answers. And that was about the massive wastewater treatment plant. No NDA, just no transparency. It concerned me deeply. I prayed with friends and felt the Lord leading me to run for this race. I have some business experience with NDAs. The A stands for agreement. Nobody can make you agree. Franklin County stood up in 2021 and said no to Pilgrim's rendering in Carnesville, and recently the mayor signed an agreement. He agreed. He put a wall up. The council, the DDA, the mayor, and Pilgrim's Pride were on one side, and all the rest of the people that voted for him for mayor were on the outside. If elected mayor, I'm not going to sign an NDA with an industry that citizens have already clearly spoken out against. If the NDA won't let us represent you well, we'll either negotiate it or pass on it. I'll fight for jobs, good jobs, businesses. I'll enhance Franklin Springs. I tell you, I've got the experience, the leadership, and the courage to stand up for you. I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Mr. Scranton, you're going to go first this time. Yes, sir. Our first question is, describe your educational background and the history of civic engagement in Franklin Springs and how it has equipped you to serve as mayor.
My educational background was in mathematics. I was an undergraduate at Northern Illinois, master's and PhD from Purdue in mathematical optimization. That led me into my career because I started optimizing things. I wish I could tell you about some of the fun things I've been able to do, but security says I can't. It's too bad. Tell me the question again.
Your educational background and history of civic engagement and how it's equipped you to be mayor.
Thank you. Civic engagement, I've been working here, as I said, for about 7 years, attending the city council meetings, asking questions, and trying to be involved. I believe that this training and this experience at getting in, because several times in my career I've had to step into a mess and solve a problem and straighten it out. And I think that's an experience that's really important today. Thank you very much.
Josh, yours next. You need me to read the question?
We may come back to it.
Okay.
So, my education would consist of some college. However, I would say my most practical education would consist of leadership training through the fire service. I've I've undergone a very extensive amount of training, whether technically, but also leadership related, consistently for 20 years through fire and EMS. I think that would lend itself very, very well to what we have going on. It already has, just with people skills. Going door to door, meeting many of you, I've been able to articulate exactly how you feel and your concerns in this town. So I know what to bring here tonight to speak for you, on behalf of you. I really feel like I do. So as far as job-related education is concerned, I think the leadership education very, very well lends well to this job.
Describe your educational background and history of civic engagement in Franklin Springs and how it's prepared you to be mayor.
I have a BS in education. I used to be a teacher and a coach. And in 2008, I retired early, as I tell my wife, and started a small business. So I'm a small business owner. In 2010, I decided to run for mayor. So over the last 16 years, I've been involved in local politics. I've served on the Industrial Development Authority of the county. I've had the opportunity to meet and learn a lot of things, but the thing about it, leadership is not something you go out and earn a degree in. Leadership is not something that you know. You lead by example. You learn. When I bought my business, I didn't know how to dig graves, but you know what I did? I jumped in that hole with my employees and dug graves. When I became mayor of Franklin Springs, I didn't know all the ins and outs about water, sewer, streets, natural gas, but you know what I did? I jumped in the hole and helped you, didn't I, Nathan? So I lead by example, and that's what leadership's all about.
All right, the second question, we're going to start with Lee. Given the city's current financial success, what will you do to make the city better?
Well, it's like, I'm going to piggyback on what both Tom and Josh said. We want to work with our state legislature to enable our leadership to be able to abate all homestead property taxes for anybody that's 65 and over. I would like for us to look at possibility of maybe a city park, areas where we could have walking trails, biking trails, things for recreation, and I'd like for us to put a doggone sidewalk to McDonald's for the Manny University students. So that's what I'd like to see with what we've been able to accomplish with our financial situation.
Mr. Scranton, you go next. Given the city's current financial success, what will you do to make the city better?
Three things. Listen closely. The last one's the most important. First thing I'm going to do is pray. In 2008, we were in the biggest depression since 1930. Since then, we've grown 65% in our economic growth. I'm going to pray that that kind of economic growth continues because that's going to help run the city well. Secondly, I'm going to be very careful about how I spend money. We closed last year about $642,000 to the good side, but we could have had another $500,000, $600,000 if we hadn't spent it on a humongous wastewater treatment plant that's only 5% funded. We've got 95% where we don't have clear funding for that wastewater treatment plant. And that's the third thing. I want to do a trade study. I have not seen any evidence of a trade study that tells us that this is the right approach to a wastewater treatment plant. I think we need to do the study and find out what the smartest thing is to do for Franklin Springs.
I'll begin by echoing Bruce's response with prayer. I've been doing a lot of praying for our community lately, and some of which has been done with Brother Scranton himself. But not having only 1 minute to focus on this, I'd like to just pick one thing, all right? And based on what the citizens have told me, I have a very good grasp with the one thing that they would want. The one thing we're concerned about is the rendering plant, but the number one thing they want to do aside from that, and keeping that out of here, is fixing our water pressure. And not only the pressure, but the available GPMs. We're exposed, y'all. This college is not in good shape. Commercial buildings, if they're on fire, it takes a lot of water in a short amount of time, okay? So I think we can turn our water tower back on, make some repairs to our upgrades, and upgrades to our water tower, invest in that. That will get us head pressure, that'll get us pressure, that'll get us GPMs, that'll get us reserves, okay? That was turned off a year ago this month, according to the meeting minutes. So I would work on our water issues. That's probably what I would shoot aim for.
Josh, you just want to stay up there? Our next question is, does your long-term vision for Franklin Springs include industrial, business, and residential growth, and how will you balance growth with preserving our small-town values?
So I will echo our citizens of Franklin Springs. I've spoken to many of them, and I've asked this question. I thought I may differ from them, so I've asked, and most of them see eye to eye with me. We don't want industrial growth. We're okay with some commercial growth. It needs to be wise. It needs to be smart. It needs to be something that would benefit us. What are we spending our money on when we leave this community? Let's put that right here. Okay, industrial, no. Dirty industrial, absolutely not. I'll stand up here and fight against it. That's what I'm doing right now. Industrial, no. Commercial, possibly. Smart, yes. Light manufacturing, like Fox Factory, that brings honor to our town, okay? That is something that we're proud of. They sing about Rocky Ridge and country songs, all right? And it's clean, it doesn't bother anybody, okay? So that's where I stand on that. Residential, commercial, yes. Wisely, industrial, absolutely not.
I think everybody here knows where I stand. I think we do need some type of industrial, commercial growth, either or, the right fit. But Franklin Springs doesn't need that growth as much as Franklin County does. But it's not my platform to talk about Franklin County tonight. So residential, I think we've about maxed out on residential, where we have spaces for residential. But I would like to see, strategic areas for commercial, mixed use, and if the right industry comes, for industrial growth.
does your long-term vision for Franklin Springs include industrial, business, and residential growth? And how will you balance growth with preserving our small town values?
It's a good order. The first thing we have to do is we have to move intentionally. We have to decide exactly who we want to be and present that to people so they'll know what they're getting into when they come here. At GE, I was tasked to be the leader in technical design, costing, scheduling for 17 proposals. 4 of them we never submitted because the government declined, or I told them that it was a bad deal and we shouldn't bid it. 13 we bid, we won 11, 85%. National average was 25%. We were 3 times better because we knew what on time within cost and the works, and it works, meant. We need to be right with the people that might come. Right now, we are a confusing place. Are we a place that's a refreshing place to live, or are we sitting on top of major industrial change? We've got to be clear about that. We need to use the concepts that they brought up at the IDA and the councilors' Propel meeting and try and figure out where to focus industry and where to go ahead and
Tom.
build.
Mr. Fountain? All right, our next question is, Franklin Springs owns a 145.25 acre plot of land. If elected, what will you propose that the city do with the property?
The first thing I'm going to say is what I said before. I have not seen a trade study on the right way to deal with wastewater treatment. I think we need to do that trade study and figure out what the right thing to do is. And then once we understand that, we can start to think about, do we develop it with business? Do we develop it with commercial? What in the world is the right thing to do with it? I want to get some ideas out. I want to find out what some options are and let the people of this city know what those are and have a chance to offer their opinion about them before the council makes up their mind and tells them what we're going to do. I think there's a lot of options there. It's a neat piece of property, but it's also a very important front door to the city for all the people that come up 145 to see us or come up 29. And we need to be careful about how we present ourselves to other people.
As far as personal vision, I think something like a city center where you can have storefronts, you can have an amphitheater, you can have something for families to do, some mini golf, something, and I've heard that from the citizens. They want restaurants, all right? They want something for families to do. I echo that sentiment. I have children. I will say, if that's not practical, and I'm not sure about funding with that, the GMA has some really good ideas and multiple different examples of those types of things. But if that's not doable for us just yet, I think something like if we want to focus on agriculture, I'm not against agriculture. I think some agriculture retail, what about Caterpillar, Gansey, or John Deere dealerships or something like that? That would really generate some revenue. It would be clean. It would bring honor to our town. It would bring other people in too. It would bring more farmers into our community for trade. And I think that would be a wonderful thing if we were a destination for the farmers and to come and also enjoy a pastime with their families while they were here. Just some immediate thoughts.
Thank you.
Well, half of the property is already promised to the new wastewater treatment facility. So you only have 70 acres now left to develop. Whether it's a small industry, whether it's 15 acres cut out for retail mixed use, whether it's 70 acres for something commercial. So there's really only 70 acres at that 145 acre site that can be developed for anything. And just to piggyback for a second on the wastewater treatment plant, Mr. Scranton keeps talking about all these studies to be done and talking about all these things. How many of you citizens have a copy of our plans of our wastewater treatment plant? Mr. Scranton does. He got them in February. How many of you have texts from me for probably 2 or 3 months saying, come sit down with me, our chief of operations, our engineers building the plant, and we'll answer your questions? Mr. Scranton does.
All right, Lee, you start the next question. Speaking of wastewater treatment plants, what kind and size of wastewater treatment plant is needed in Franklin Springs, and how will you fund it?
We are planning to build a 1.5 million gallon per day municipal wastewater treatment. It'd be an activated sludge plant. We are currently looking at grants. We're currently looking at different fundings. We're looking at bonds. But it will be funded through Franklin Springs. No industry is funding our plant because we don't have any industry coming. It will be paid for by sewer customers. How many of you wash your hands, flush your toilet, take showers? That's what kind of sewer we're talking about. So that's where and what it will be funded by. Okay.
Mr. Stanton, you're next. What kind and size of wastewater treatment plant is needed in Franklin Springs, and how will you fund it?
Third time, I don't know. We need to do the trade studies and figure it out. But I take a look at what we're talking about now, 1.5 million gallons. I can identify 5% of that as committed resource that's going to come in and use it. I don't know anything about how we pay for the other 95%, and I don't see that as a good thing. Now, the mayor just said he invited me to come and sit down and talk to him. Yes, he did, because I asked him 3 questions. They never told me how they sized this thing. They never told me how we were going to pay for it, and they never told me what the schedule was for it. As a program manager with a lot of programs under my belt, if you can't answer those 3 questions, there's something seriously wrong. And that needs to be fixed. And I told him I didn't want to come in and sit with him because I didn't want to come in and try and figure out what they could have, should have, ought to done. I wanted to know what was being done. We spent $500,000 or more on this engineering study. What did we get for it? I wanted to see what we got so I could assess it and see if we were getting something of value for our money.
What kind and size of wastewater treatment plant is needed in Franklin Springs, and how will you fund it?
As far as the wastewater treatment plant is concerned, I actually met with some Franklin Springs city employees today. They were super helpful. Down at the wastewater treatment plant, they were very helpful. They gave me an in-depth tour and overview of what we're dealing with. We do need some changes. We need something done about it, and there's no doubt about that. I have a much clearer picture of that now. Speaking with the citizens, I can tell you, again, back to what the citizens are telling me and what we're concerned about. We're concerned that the new wastewater treatment plant, we may need it, that's fine, but our biggest concern is that it's going to be an open door to dirty industry in our community, and we feel threatened by it. So that's why we want to work on this one. However, I don't know that that's pragmatic. That being said, I think we need leadership that we can absolutely trust and not bring in those dirty industries. I think something can still be said about the wastewater treatment plant, but in this minute, I will just say I think we need leadership that we can trust and not bring those dirty industries in here.
Josh? All right, our next question is, what will you do to make city government transparent and ensure that residents' voices, including those who may not be able to attend meetings, are heard before major decisions are made?
So as far as transparency goes, I think Ms. Jackie does a great job with the website. I don't know if anybody else works on it, but I think that we could beef it up a little bit and add more public record to it. I think having to request public records and public information is just a little cumbersome at times, and we can't put everything on there, obviously. It would be incredibly cumbersome, but I do think we could do more than that. I think that keeping our finger on the pulse of the community, like I've been in the community, going door to door. I'm not a hermit. I've been in the community since before I ran for mayor, and I know these people. We've had hosted parties at our house, okay, July 4th parties, and invited the whole community, and I'm still that type of citizen. I am plugged into this community. Let's see, what else can we do? Social media, I think they've really stepped up the social media game the city has in past months. I think it's going to be important to really continue to focus on that. I've got a lot of other ideas on this as well. My time is almost up. I will post more about these questions and elaborate more on my social media page, and I would love to hear from you. I think you all know how you can get in touch with me. Thank you.
Well, Jackie and Laura do a tremendous job of juggling the so many different roles that we require of them every day. And the council and I have started working with Jagged Rock to start running our social media as well as our web page. So we're going to have a lot more accessibility for people to go to and get information. But as far as transparency goes, I can assure you this, the mayor and council of Franklin Springs has always, before my time, and since I've been involved in the last 16 years, operated in a very open and transparent manner. And if you do have a question, or if you do have a concern, why don't we act like adults and come talk about it face to face instead of being keyboard warriors and put it on social media?
What will you do to make city government transparent and ensure that residents' voices, including those who may not be able to attend meetings, are heard before major decisions are made?
Frankly, the first thing we need to do is change our attitude. We need to be opening. You need to take a look at the April meeting. If you haven't seen the recording of the April meeting, you need to see it. We need to be open. We need to listen attentively when someone comes to speak. We don't need to be distracted. We need to pay attention. We need to change the order of the agenda. Right now, you're not allowed to speak, except for things on the agenda. But when you look at the agenda, all the agenda is done before we hear from anybody else. So when you get up to speak, whatever it is that was on the agenda that you're going to talk about is already over and done with. That's no use. We need to think about also streaming and posting the meetings. We might even be able to talk to some of the folks over at Emmanuel University and get some internships set up with some of the communication department or some of the pre-law department. I think we've got some good opportunities if we take a look for them.
Gentlemen, we have reached the final question. I know you're excited. I know I am. So,
Okay.
how would you handle controversial development proposals in order to make them less divisive?
You got to start at the beginning. What kind of place do we want to be? We need to talk about that, advertise it. When an NDA comes in, because we'll probably need an NDA with one, we've got to look at it and think about what the people in the city have already told us about what they're interested in, and we've got to make a decision. Can I represent you adequately with the NDA as it's written, or will I have to do as I've done before in the industry and go in and sit down with my lawyer friends and say, we need to adjust the NDA so that we can now talk to you about this thing. If they don't want to adjust it, they're clearly a bad customer, and we don't want to have them here. Thank you very much.
I agree. I think the reason this is a question is because of an NDA. So I think that should be the focus with this question. I think NDAs should be entered into very slowly, if at all. I think you should ask yourself, if you're a leader and you have a part in entering an NDA, be honest with yourself, do I want this NDA or does this industry want the NDA?
I've had the privilege to serve as mayor for the last 16 years. Do you know how many decisions I've voted on in 16 years I've been mayor? 0. The city council makes the decisions. And since the last 6 years, 4 or 6 years, we've also brought back our development authority. So right now you're talking about 4 members of the city council, the mayor, a development authority which has 7 members, plus our city staff and city leadership involved in every single decision made for the citizens of Franklin Springs, because you elected us to do that job. If we do sign an NDA, we have to abide by that NDA. But it is not any decision made by the mayor or any single council member. It's a unanimous decision made by the mayor, the city council, development authority, and leadership of this city.
It's time for closing statements. We have 2 minutes, and Lee, you get to go first.
I'd like to thank you all for coming out here tonight. It's hard to look through here and do this, so I'm going to just have to, but I really would like to thank you. Like I said, Franklin Springs is my home. I love Franklin Springs, and I'm going to defend Franklin Springs. Franklin Springs is a great city, the greatest city in the world. And if you live here, you would know that. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions tonight. Are you thankful for where you live and how safe, and I mean extremely safe, Franklin Springs is? That's your first question. Are you thankful for leadership of Franklin Springs that is fiscally responsible and respectful of your taxpayer dollars and puts every decision made in the mind of our citizens? Think about those two questions. I greatly appreciate your support, your prayers, and your vote on November the 4th, and God bless you. Mr. Scott?
You have 2 minutes.
Remember the question when we started? What would you like Franklin Springs to look like in 10 years? I want to thank you all for being here tonight, listening online. It's been blessed to see you here, see you spending your time to learn and get engaged with our city, and get some background so that you can make a wise decision about how you want to vote. Take a good look at some of the videos of the meetings. You'll see clearly that the opinion of the mayor counts heavily. It's very important who we set as mayor in this city. My name's not going to be on the ballot as the incumbent. It doesn't come with 16 years of experience as mayor, but it does come with a commitment. And that commitment is to use the experience and the skills that I've gained leading complex projects at GE and Lockheed and other places to enter the office on January 1st, ready to lead and to take this place in a good direction with integrity, respect, honesty, and transparency. I tell you that Franklin Springs is at a crossroad. Your vote is critical. In 10 years, what do you want the city to look like? Is it going to be riddled with surprise, risky industries? Or will you still recognize Franklin Springs with businesses we're proud of, where the outdoor activities, the athletics, and the Victoria Bryant State Park are still healthy and fun places to be? I will work to ensure that we grow wisely, that we protect our beautiful city. I will work to continue our heritage as a refreshing place to live for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. I will listen to your ideas, your concerns, and I will do the best I can to give you opportunity for your input. I ask for your prayer, support, and vote on November 4th. Thank you all very much, and the Lord bless you all.
I'd like to say I have a whole lot more to say, and I've got a goal to meet every single one of you and knock on every single one of your doors. So if I don't do that, please come find me. Not very hard to find, but also, like I said, I'll say again, follow my campaign Facebook page. I will elaborate more on each of these questions. I do have a whole lot more to say about that, and I'd like to hear a whole lot more about that as well. I've heard a lot. I'd like to hear a whole lot more from y'all. I also believe this is going to be the most important election that our town has seen. I believe that this election is going to impact how other people and neighbors view us. And I actually believe it will affect the way we view ourselves. I really do. I think there's a lot on the line. I will say, no matter how you choose to vote, and I tell every one of you this when I come to your door, and I mean it. I've met some wonderful people. This is a win-win for me regardless. I've made so many friends. And I promise you, no matter how you choose to vote, you could vote for anyone in this room, and we can still have grace. And we will, as far as I'm concerned. And we can still be neighbors, and we can still be friends. And I mean that, and I'm excited about that. And I know I've already made friends. I've already made friends that I know are not voting for me. And that's a refreshing thing, believe it or not. So I appreciate your support, and I covet your prayers, and I need them. My family needs them. We're doing really great, and we're loving this thing, but we do still need your prayers. So thank you very much for your prayers and your support.
All right, folks, that's the program for tonight. I want y'all to know a couple things. I've been covering local governments in several different places for 30 years. Thank y'all. I know I don't look that old, but I am. But this is not an easy job. Being a city council member or a mayor is not an easy job. I've seen what they do. I've only seen part of what they do, and you couldn't pay me enough money. And so anybody, whether you agree with them or not, that's willing to throw their hat in the ring and get out there and offer themselves for service deserves our respect, and they deserve for you to, like I say, you can disagree, but you don't be disagreeable. And I want to let's give all of these guys another hand of applause for how well they did tonight and for coming out and doing it. I don't know if you can tell, this is the part of the program I did not write down. I want to encourage you all to continue your research, get these guys, ask them questions. We'll have some candidate profiles in the paper coming up before the election. Read those, listen to the ads, read Facebook pages, look at the ads in the paper, and do all of those things and be informed voters when you go to the polls on November the 4th. And please, please go out and vote. Thank y'all so much for being here.